Code peer review is not just important for your team, it's also important for you as a developer to grow and expand and increase your expertise. When I think of code peer review, I always find four main reasons for it to have it inside your team and also for you. First one, of course, is finding bugs and detecting if any issue occurs due to a new pull request. Second one is to increase your knowledge and your expertise, because eventually you would see other people codes, how they solve a certain problem, what's their approach. Also onboarding new developers. So if you have a new developers coming to your team, they would know what is the code base, what is the coding style, how to contribute, which would eventually decrease your workload. Fourthly, there is knowledge sharing, which is the main purpose of it. There is no single developer who knows everything about code or the code base, and he's the only one who knows about it. And in this case, no developer would be able to contribute. If this developer resigns one day, then the whole code base or the whole project, no one could contribute it or add new features. So these are the four main reasons I think peer code review are important. And we will see in this video what you should detect or what steps or checklist you have to follow to do a better code review. So let's start. Hello, Abdo here. Let's start with the checklist for doing better code review, which are tests, performance, data structure, security, and quality. First aspect is tests. Probably if you see a PR without tests, there is something missing or wrong, because any code or any pull request to the system is actually doing some change into the code base or changing or affecting it. So of course you first have to check in the PR, you have to check if there is an added test, they are understandable, you could read it like a story and it's not complex, not hard, not written in bad code. It should be still clean code. It should also match the requirements of the ticket or the task, or it solves the bug, or it expresses in the test, it expresses what is the bug and how it is solved, that the test is passing and the bug doesn't exist now. It should also cover failure cases or failure scenarios. If you created an API and this API might, for any reason, might cause 400 or 500 errors, so that there should be tests that catches these. And also there is performance test, which should check if the application is responding in timely manner. For example, if it has like start and end time or duration, it should respond in 20 milliseconds. There should be tests if there is limited or time constraints for the ticket. There should be tests for them to check this behavior. Second aspect, which is performance, where you should review in the code what is the effect of the new PR on the current code base speed and performance. Does it slow it down? Does it deteriorate it? If I am doing a call to a third-party service, for example like MySQL or another microservice, is it expensive? Does it take more time? You need to check all of this in the PR. Also, if the new PR is causing a race condition, for example, you are doing an API before checking that a token exists, or authentication authorization token, does it exist for doing the PR. If you have memory leaks in your application, like most famously, at least in the front end, you didn't unsubscribe from certain event or remove certain listener, you are not recording or checking certain array limit, like you are keeping it open, or recursive functions. This is also most famous for memory leaks. You have to check if the new PR is causing these. If there is an open connection or port or reading file, opening connection with MySQL, is it closed eventually, because this is a resource, and if you haven't released it or close it, this would block other application or other services or other instance of your application to open it and consume it. So it would block your application eventually. Also, if there is possibility for caching, like if you are reading an API and getting certain array, have you cached it? Because if you do the request again and again and again, this is consuming and it's slowing down the application. You could save it, or you could memorize a certain array or a certain function to not always have to generate it or call it again. So also you need to check the performance of your application for these aspects. Thirdly, data structures, where you would review in the code if it's using the correct data structure. For example, if it needs to use an array for sorted things, or it needs to have quick access. In this case, you would use hash maps, dictionaries, or objects in JavaScript, for example. If it's the data structure itself is simple as the ticket or the task required, it doesn't need to be very complex, like it doesn't show off. And of course it needs to adhere to the solid principles, all 5 principles. This is important to review for the aspect of data structure. Fourthly, security aspect, where we do review in the code if it has any security vulnerabilities or it might cause any hacking in the system. For example, if the new PR might cause man-in-the-middle attacks, CSRFs, or cross-site scripting, you need to check for these sides of securities. Also, if it might have bad dependencies, old dependencies, you need to update these. You could also automate this part in the whole application using something called dependable. Also checking for the new endpoints that are added. Does they have the required token, correct level of authentication, correct level of authorization. If the whole system is encrypted, like if you are writing infrastructure code, does it use HTTPS? This is like basic stuff. Or if you are transferring information, is it encrypted? You need to check for this part. If the PR is pushing any secrets to the repository, for example, if you have any AWS API key, private keys, GitHub keys, you need to check that all of these are not pushed to the repo. And if they are pushed, of course, you have to invalidate them and rotate all these secrets. Also, there is level of logging in the system, like you're logging every step, every behavior of the user, so that in any case you need to debug the system, you would be able to trace it and see why a certain behavior or a certain action has caused a certain issue. So these are the aspects for the security part. Fifth and last part, which is code quality and the whole quality of the PR itself. For example, if it adheres to the clean code, if the files which are pushed through the PR are having correct naming and they are in the correct directories, because it would ease in searching for these files in the future. And to organize it, like the level of organizing the system. Also, if you have any unused codes, it should be removed. If there is a library that is imported and it is unused in the system, it should be also removed. You could also use code inspections tools. For example, I'm using PHP Storm. It shows to me errors in my code before pushing it to see general errors. For example, for the front end, I'm using PHP Storm, which inspecting the code and tells me if there is certain code is in conflict with the web standards, or there is duplicated methods, unused variables. If I am using var, for example, if I am having some things that have typos, like different stuff, it has like many errors that it can inspect in the code. These are the 5 things that you have to check for HPR: tests, performance, data structure, security, and quality of the code. It's not just for the team and having very good code base, it's also for you to improve and also increase your expertise. Happy you stayed till the end of this video. I hope it added value to you as software developer. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and I will answer them, and see you in the next video. Ciao.